Hey, I'm Atia Babcock, and this is part 2 of a session in the life of a Mustang. And as you may have seen last time, I made a huge rookie mistake. So I know better than to take my coat off at a horse that is worried. So as luck would have it, sometimes you have to fix your mistakes that you made. So I'm trying to walk away and shake the coat. She kind of dragged me into her, and I couldn't hold my position there. So I had to shake the coat a little less and get her to where she was following me. And then when she followed me, I stopped. So I'm just trying to get her a little more confident with this. One of her big challenges is noises and coats. So those are some big things for her that she's really worried about. So this is, a very necessary thing to get any horse used to, because, we have to take our coat off. We need to not have our horse worried about that kind of thing if we have to go pick up a coat and, say give it to another rider. These are very important, valuable skills. So this session is all about confidence building and with my jacket. So I'll just shake it lightly, and then my goal is to build up and be able to shake it more and in different positions. So right now I'm just sticking with having it on the one side. I want to be pretty predictable when I do this. My goal is not to spook her more. My goal is to get her to realize that it's not going to eat her. I want her desensitized to my coat. So I'm able to swing it a little harder there, but she's still kind of braced up through her neck and kind of tentative. So I'm judging everything in my horse's body language to read my horse. Their ears, the height of their head, the pace of their walking. Can they walk in a rhythm, or do they stop and start? That's a sign of brace. And my goal here is to just build her confidence. If I get direct line in my humanness and have my goal be to touch her, I will ultimately ruin her confidence if she is not ready for that. So I always try to let my horse be the predictor of how much and how far we go. So I'm just gonna start with this, get her comfortable with it swinging on both sides, and then I'll see if I can maybe get her to either sniff it or rub it. Or sniff it or rub her with it. And one little trick to get your horse, especially a wild horse, confident with any kind of rubbing or touch type thing, whether it's just your hand and you're trying to get them touchable from you, or with an object, is I'll touch their bubble and I'll rub their bubble. So I'm kind of bringing it out and away from my horse, but I'm still getting them used to that rhythm. So every horse has a bubble. The bigger the bubble, the more skeptical and unconfident the horse is. So if I had a horse that had a really big bubble, maybe I couldn't even be in the same pen with them, and they're flying up against the wall in the corner, shivering, scared of me, right? That would be an example of a horse with a big bubble. Eventually, we want to get our horse confident with all these things being in their bubble. Whether it's our coat, the saddle, the lead rope. And part of bringing a wild horse along is getting them confident with all of those things. And you may notice I'll give her breaks periodically when I think she's done well. It's not just me trying to touch her or sack her out. I'm just trying to get her more confident. And if she spooks, assuming it's not a really big spook where she's dragging me away, where I feel like I still have control, then I will just keep flapping it. I don't want to take the pressure off if she's spooking, because it's the release that teaches. So I want her to release when she is not moving her feet. And then eventually I want to release when she has a positive mindset, a relaxed mindset. It might just start out being a more relaxed mindset. She might not completely be worry-free. We're just looking for tolerance right now and a little bit of confidence. And I'll play with my horse in all different zones. So I want my horse confident on both sides, up overhead. And you'll find like every horse has one that might be the hardest. I really thought up and over her head was going to be a lot harder for her than it was. For her, it ended up being touch. So she let me get to where I was about maybe 5 inches from her skin here with rubbing my jacket. And you'll notice like I folded my jacket up so that it was less scary. I don't have a flopping jacket arm hanging out there. I folded it up so that it would be a little bit easier. I don't want to make it too hard for my horse to get a win. So that's something to keep in mind when you're training. And see how I'm not looking at her here? I'm looking at my jacket. I'm almost angry at my jacket, not putting any of that energy towards her. That's very important here. Because it's more about the coat, and I don't want to add any intensity or pressure with my body. So sometimes I'll even turn my belly button off of my horse. Sometimes that helps them be more confident, especially when I'm standing still. You noticed I was turned away from her there. She got a little spooky there, but that's okay. I have to kind of push that boundary to where she's unconfident a little bit and then bring it back to where she'll tolerate it. So I'm playing with that line. And every once in a while, like there, I pushed a little too much. It was a little too much for her. So I, had to back off. And that's okay. You'll learn where that boundary is and where that threshold is through experience with that particular horse. So don't beat yourself up if you make a mistake. Mistakes are a part of horsemanship, and that's how you learn. So I'm giving her a little break here. Her head came down. That's a really good sign. Felt like this was the first little moment here where she relaxed. So I'm going in here again with the rubbing her bubble out and around. And I literally picture a bubble and I imagine that I'm petting the bubble and I'm not petting her. because I don't want the motion to be at her. So your intention here and the way you approach things with your horse is very important. And especially with a Mustang, they'll give you pretty instantaneous feedback on how you're doing. You know, whether it was too much pressure, not enough, too much with the coat. Horses never lie, so they'll tell you exactly what they're thinking. We just have to learn to be a horseman that can read our horse. And then we do our best to partner with them and to build their confidence and build on their experience. Give them positive experiences is the goal. So here I switched sides. I felt like I got to a good moment on the other side. I didn't get to where I could touch her, but I got much, much closer, and she was tolerating it way better. So obviously, horse has two sides, and sometimes it's a completely different horse on the other side. So we have to build confidence with our horse in every zone and every side of our horse. We can't neglect sides. Otherwise, you're going to have holes in your horsemanship and in your horse's training. And those are what we are always working to fill, no matter what level our horse is at. So a lot of horsemanship is kind of like watching paint dry, especially with the confidence building stuff, but this is so crucial. You've got to have that trust with your horse and have them confident in you as a leader. Confident that you will not put them in a position that would be too much for them to handle. So her head's really braced up there again. So I'm kind of alternating shaking my coat to flapping it up and down. You'll notice different motions get different reactions from your horse. So I'll do one and stick with it, and then I'll switch to another one if they're still having confidence issues. I want to be able to shake it soft and slow, and then really hard and fast, and not have her blow up or spook away. So, ideally she's not getting relief from being worried about this, but her release comes when she's able to walk forward towards me, towards the coat, and be less worried. It's far from perfect. It's not going to be an overnight success here. It's going to be little sessions, building, and that consistency of building that confidence that's going to make her a good horse in the long run, a confident horse. But horses are pretty amazing creatures, the things that we're able to do with them, and they're such quick learners. And part of that is because they are out, when they're out in the wild and out in the herd, they need to identify whether it's something that's going to hurt them, injure them, or whether it's something to ignore. So horses get very good at classifying, whether it's something to ignore or something to flee from. So, my responsibility as the trainer, as the human, is to make sure they're learning it's something to ignore when I'm working on this confidence building stuff. I don't want them to learn to spook away from the coat. But if you really want to learn horsemanship and herd dynamics, it's you will learn so much from just watching horses like this interact in a herd. Horses are our best teachers, and we'll learn a lot from them. That's it for this session. Thanks for watching, and a big thank you to her owner for letting me work with her.